here, but tonight we did it, me and Rob, be able to invite him to be here today. The first one, let me introduce our chairman of board, Kun Jirawat Yuvitia. And the second is Kun Warasit Pokha Chayapat, which you may not know, he is the co-founder and long-time partner of Burapha Golf. And he is the licensee of I.S.E. and also current board of director of I.S.E.
I would just like to add that without the board of directors being so supportive of what we're doing here at I.S.E., none of this could ever have come about. The history of the school we'll talk about in a little bit, but the board has been there since the inception of this institution 20 years ago, if you could believe that. And I'd like to personally thank them and the other board members for all the help that they've done.
And lastly, on behalf of I.S.E.'s school and management of I.S.E., we'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Red Bull Board of Directors, which is our parents' company, and also the board member of I.S.E. himself, especially Kun Jirawat Yuvitia, which has been behind this project. Without his support to me and Rob, we wouldn't make it, okay? Thanks again, Mr. Jirawat and Kun Warasit. Actually, Red Bull has been behind the scene to support us financially and with a financial plan. Plus, this time they have provided the team of engineering and facility management to help us, as you saw in the video a few minutes ago. And they are up there, the style of minds up there. We'll introduce them later. Okay, and last of the last, this is the fun part. You may not know the history of I.S.E. too well, but tonight we have a special guest to speak about I.S.E. This person knows inside out about I.S.E. since the day zero, not the day one. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Dr. Robert Walker Brewer.
This is really the first speech from this podium. I said it needed to be wider than I am, so you have something to hide behind. So you will see a new design in a bit. Excellency, parents, colleagues, and friends. I had a conversation in 1993 that changed my life. It made a difference in my marriage, where my children went to high school, and where I was going to spend the next 20 years. Two large American companies, the oil company Caltex and the construction company Floor Daniel, asked my school in Bangkok, I.S.B., to build another campus on the eastern seaboard of Thailand. The oil refinery and the expected growth of expatriate residents in the area meant that families would be looking forward to enrolling their children in English language schools and looking to rent large Western-style homes, neither of which existed in the eastern seaboard at that time. I.S.B. respectfully declined the request, but a group of Thai and American business people took up the challenge and founded a company called Northbridge and I.S.E. Limited. They needed an educator, and that was me. The plan was to build a school and houses near the oil port in Mattaput. Northbridge received the bid to build the school, but not the housing estate. We looked for another partner. We went on to agree with the Burapha Golf Course to build a school and some houses here. It was in a much more central region and significantly closer to Bangkok. What started this was the government's policy decision to try and spread the investment in Thailand over regions outside of Bangkok. The Board of Investment, or BOI, divided the country up into 3 zones. It granted investment incentives to companies in Zones 2 and Zones 3, Zone 1 being Bangkok. Zone 2 includes Chon Buri Province, where we're sitting tonight. Zone 3 is 10 kilometers that way, toward Ba Wen. The easiest way to get there is to drive into Amata City or the Eastern Seaboard Industrial Estates. You wondered why they had long driveways into those industrial parks. It's to get to Rayong Province. 7 kilometers on the eastern seaboard industrial state, where they could have more production investment incentives. About the same time, the Thai government changed their educational policy about Thai nationals attending non-Thai schools. Previous to 1992, all students with Thai fathers, yes, the father's passport was important, had to attend Thai school. This policy was not pointed against international schools, but we fell under the same regulations as any non-Thai language school. There are a number of reasons for this, but let's just say many Thai students were studying abroad. Sometimes they didn't return to Thailand when their education was finished. Allowing Thai students to attend non-Thai schools was one solution to keep those students in the kingdom. So here we are in 1993. I feel like I'm in the play Back to the Summer, or is it Back to the Future, that was put on yesterday by some of our students. The drive to the eastern seaboard from Bangkok was 3 to 4 hours on a 2-lane road. No new airport, no Highway 7, no elevated highway on the Bang Na Expressway. The good old Sukhumvit Road came out of Bangkok, ran through the middle of Chonburi City, down through Pattaya, and all the way to Trat and the Cambodian border. I bet you don't know there are 17 stoplights in the city of Chonburi, and I've stopped many times at all of them. They seem to be against me for some reason as I was driving down here. But Northbridge and Burapha Golf saw a bright future for the eastern seaboard. We did build that school. It was opened on August 23rd, 1994, I.S.E. On the housing side, JHL, across the street, built their homes when the school opened. Northbridge built the Planamai townhouses and 3 single-family homes that were completed in April of 1995. Eastwood homes were built shortly thereafter. When the school opened, we had an enrollment of 75 students. It was a very good start for us. Mr. Jin Giambi was the superintendent for the first 6 years, and most of the teachers had worked at I.S.E in Bangkok before coming to I.S.E. I happen to know a few people there that I thought would be good for a school like this. In 1996, we had grown to more than 200 students. The next year, we topped 300 students for the first time. It was time to increase the school's capacity. The original buildings are those we now use for the elementary and intermediate schools. The art room and the music room were our first science laboratories for high school students there. The original site plan, the front entrance of the school, is where the pre-kindergarten room and the elementary library is now. The school buses drove down through the elementary parking area and dropped the students off where we now have the preschool playground. If you have a vision, you can see when you walk down there. The plan was to add additional buildings below the elementary school if we needed additional classrooms. The cafeteria, which is now in the middle of our campus, was intended to be at the back of our campus, with a secondary school down the hill toward the lake. But the design for Burapha had changed. There was a plan to have a separate housing estate below the elementary school, so that land was not available to us. As you might remember, the years of 1998 and 1999 were an economic disaster. All of East Asia went through a financial downturn that saw the Thai baht devalued significantly and investment funds drying up. Burapha Golf Club was in need of a cash injection, as was I.S.E. Both needed increased financial backing. The Red Bull Company took over the Burapha Golf Course, and the shareholders of I.S.E added additional money to keep us going. It was a very difficult time for most companies in Thailand, and we suffered along with the others. But as we came out of that, I.S.E was able to purchase additional land from Burapha, and we built the secondary school that opened in 1998. I.S.E now owned 44 rai of land. We plan to extend the campus on the upper end of the property and back beyond the gyms. Hence, we had the spot for our long-anticipated Fine Arts Theater. I.S.E. has always been dependent upon investment on the Eastern Seaboard. In 1996, Ford Motor Company opened their first plant on the Eastern Seaboard industrial state. During the difficult times in 1998, I met with Mr. David Snyder, who was the head of Ford in Thailand. I told him that while the school was suffering financially, we certainly intended to keep the school open, and Ford needed to be a partner in that. Dave, who was a real supporter of I.S.E. and Burapha, said that if I.S.E. hadn't existed 3 years earlier to support the Ford families, they could have easily set up their plants in the Philippines. By the way, Dave and the Ford people worked with the local authorities to pave the road in front of Burapha Golf. Yes, it was partly dirt when we first came here. It's really hard to imagine that now. Ford and other multinational companies rented the houses that were available inside Burapha Golf and across the road at Lam Chabang Golf Club. Nichiren Greenside did not exist. The road outside the front gate was 2 lanes. Development would come later. Samsung and Lucky Gold Star, LG, developed additional plants in the area, and our Korean population increased significantly. We also saw more and more Thai families taking jobs on the Eastern Seaboard and enrolling their children at I.S.E. In 1998, General Motors opened their first factory here. Northbridge built 18 houses for General Motors inside Burapha Golf as the families began to arrive in 1999. Those homes are now managed by Palanamai. I.S.E. opened in 1994 with only an elementary and middle school. We added grade 9 in 1995, and by August of 1997, we had a full high school program. Our first graduating class, with 4 students, received their American high school diplomas in June 1998. Our enrollment held steady until 2003, when we dipped to 250 students due to another lull in the economics of the region. We quickly recovered and enrolled about 300 students in 2005. What is interesting to note, at that time, the nationality mix was Japanese students, 30%, Korean students, 28%, Thai students, 18%, Americans, 8%. Enrollment began to increase, and we had 391 students to begin the 2007 school year. For some reason, the number 406 sticks in my mind as a peak enrollment that year. Charlie has the number 409. We'll have to look that up. We had parent, student, teacher, and staff committees to look at what was important to I.S.E. as we were planning additional facilities to accommodate the increasing number of students. The committees identified 2 main areas. One was our inadequate stage and performance area in our cafeteria. The other was the cafeteria itself. The further decision was that our parents and students felt that our family school concept was good for everyone, and we wanted to stay with that concept. We didn't want to be a large school, but rather a smaller school, where everyone was known and welcomed. We maintain that ideal today. We began making plans for a fine arts building or remodeling or renovating the cafeteria area. We looked at adding a 2nd floor to the cafeteria, enclosing the outside space for a larger air-conditioned room. We considered putting the Fine Arts Center where the cafeteria is and moving the cafeteria. We looked at placing the new building where the front gym is and adding a new gym behind the campus. But all this planning was halted as regional investment dried up. The economics of 2008 hurt our enrollment significantly as we dropped to 310 students. Our nationality mix was changing as our Thai population was now 30%, our Korean population 23%, Japanese 17%, Americans 10%. Educationally, we're seeing a change in our student population as more and more students were attending university outside of the United States after graduating from I.S.E. We added the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program in 2005 and became the only school on the Eastern Seaboard to offer 2 diploma programs. The Japanese school in Sriracha opened in April 2009, and more than 60 students left I.S.E. to enroll there. This was no surprise to us, and we've been planning on this change for several years. But it did mean that we lost many students and had to reduce our staffing. It was a difficult time for all at I.S.E. Our Japanese population dropped to 5%. Our Thai families were now up to 33%, Korean 23%, Americans 12%. It's enough with the statistics, but let me note the nationality percentages are about the same now, and today we enroll 320 students. The Board of Directors is very forward-thinking. We needed to improve our fine arts program. A theater and a place to exhibit student work was very, very important. I'd like to note that when Charlie joined I.S.E. as Chief Financial Officer, we had significant bank debt due to the new secondary school building. And the school had had cash losses each year for the first 10 years of its existence. For the business people among us, it's called a loss carry forward, and it needs to be repaid. But the directors stayed the course. In 2008, we were finally able to pay off our bank debt. The investors and the board agreed to keep all school income in the school fund. And we prepared to be able to finance this lovely new art center without a significant increase in school fees. I will mention here that I am pleased that so many of you have donated to this by purchasing theater seats. If you've not taken part of this opportunity, I encourage you to do so. We'd be happy to talk to you. While Charlie and I haven't always agreed on every point, we've worked well together and we've been able to develop an excellent educational program within the confines of our financial capabilities. It's been rough at times, but I truly enjoyed being here tonight. Please help me to thank Charlie not only for his leadership in this building, but making I.S.E. a